Blast Football. Billy Gill.
God bless football, Stugotz.
Aiden O'Connell, huh?
I was so tempted to just start this segment and just say, and we're back, even though it's the first segment of this show today.
Why didn't you?
You know.
No, I don't know. I was asking, but I'm asking you. I don't. Fuentes, do you know?
How would he know?
He knows.
It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. How would he know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon Staley, as we tape this, and I hope this changes. I do. Still has a job. I thought he'd be fired right after the game last night.
Did you see Richard Sherman say that he should be fired at halftime?
Really?
Yeah, he said he shouldn't come back out.
It was 42-0 at halftime. Think about that. They were playing the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
They were playing Aiden O'Connell. The Chargers, who many people picked to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this year, were trailing 42-0 to Aiden O'Connell.
I was sitting at the Heat game last night with the mean, and I get a notification on my phone.
Humble
and,
brag.
Yeah. And I get a notification on my phone, and it says, tonight the Raiders score 42 points. And I'm thinking, oh, man, the game's already over. And then it says, at halftime.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oof.
Yeah.
I have a question for you before we continue with football. So you went to the basketball game with Amin. I have gotten reports from people who have gone to games with Amin or seen Amin at games that Amin likes to be seen. He likes to walk around, say hello to everyone, kind of show how many hands he can
Shaking
shake.
hands, kissing babies.
Show off a bit. When he's at a basketball game, he likes to show off a bit.
He didn't shake that many hands because it's
Who were they playing?
the Bulls
Okay.
on a Thursday night in December.
A non-TNT Thursday night.
Right.
Exactly. So there wasn't really
Surprised
a
he
lot of,
went.
not really a lot of hands to be shook.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But he did shake some hands. I'll say.
Did he do any laps where he's like, let's just, I don't know if he would have said it out loud or just like, let's see if I'm seen.
Some laps were made.
Okay.
Really?
I don't know if they were to be seen. But
Who went? Just the two of you?
Yeah. I just
That's
showed
very
up.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, he probably got a credential. I don't think that I'm being treated him.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, to buy you a ticket. He doesn't buy tickets.
He didn't buy me a drink though. So
Did you have a drink? You were credentialed. You shouldn't have been drinking. Yeah, I'm sure.
post game drink.
You're covering the game.
Where were you? Were you just moving around, or did you have an actual spot to sit in?
No, we had a spot.
Okay. And what can you report? What coverage are you bringing to us?
They looked awful yesterday.
The Heat did?
They looked really bad. They looked like a team that was on the second night of a back-to-back, missing 3 starters.
God bless basketball.
God bless.
Yeah,
basketball.
God bless some hoops. You know what I mean? How do we feel about Antonio Pierce coming out of halftime saying that his message to the team was, put your foot on the gas harder when
I like
you're up
that.
42-0?
I mean, listen, the guy is coaching for a job right now.
What did he say last week when they scored 0 points against the Vikings?
Right. Think about that. They scored 0 points against the Vikings last week. I forgot about that. The shootout.
I was positive that that's
Big
what we
Ten
were.
football, baby.
I thought that's what we were going to have last night. Was going to be a 6-3 game, and boy, was I surprised.
63 to 21.
They wanted more than 70 so bad. Like they wanted to pass the Dolphins so bad.
We are not going to have Austin Eckler on the television version or audio version of God Bless Football this week because he's going through it. Now, Austin wanted to come out. To be clear, Austin always meets his obligations. He has never ducked us, not once, Billy, to his credit.
Also, like to be completely crystal clear, we typically tape with him on his off day, which is Tuesday, and we knew he was playing Thursday, so it made absolutely no sense to have a Tuesday recording. And then the conversation happened about Friday,
yes,
and possibly the recording today. Now, it wouldn't have been recorded in time to get out on this episode regardless because he's on the West Coast, and while it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon now, it's 4 o'clock in the morning where he presently is.
We just told Austin, week off for you. It's a bye week from God Bless Football for Austin Eckler, and we will reconvene with him next week, and we will do a bonus episode with Eckler during Super Bowl week. Billy, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You love the Dolphins. The Dolphins coming off a bad loss to the Titans. The Jets coming off a nice win. Zach Wilson plays the best game of his NFL career. The game is in Miami.
Yeah.
You a little bit nervous?
Nervous?
Yeah.
No.
Good defense.
No.
Zach Wilson, some confidence. Not nervous? You think the Dolphins are going to take care of this?
Do I think the Dolphins could possibly lose? Yes. Am I nervous? No.
You don't get nervous with football, do you?
No, I have enough problems.
I'm a little nervous just because the weather's going to be bad, I think.
It is.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be bad.
It plays into the Jets' game plan.
That is true.
What, of not scoring and playing defense?
Not scoring, play defense, let Brees Hall run.
It's supposed to rain through Monday, I believe. Like every day is like 80%, 90%. So it's going to be a sloppy game, which is actually a good point by you. I don't know why I had to say actually. It just came out that way.
Are you nervous now or?
No.
No?
No.
I didn't talk you into being nervous.
I don't think he cares enough about. If it was the Marlins, he'd be nervous. I'm not saying this to kind of undermine his fandom here. He cares very much about the Dolphins, but I think Billy, with children and responsibilities, things change. Is that fair?
I'm also impartial as a member of the media, so I just kind of call the games how I see them. You know what I mean? Like I don't just.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
I don't have these emotional highs and lows.
Well, the way I see it is now, so the bye is probably out of play for the Dolphins. That was a bad loss.
I don't know about that.
I don't think they're going to win, and they're not going to beat. I don't think they're going to beat Dallas.
It's not out of play, Mike.
It's not out of play mathematically, but I don't see them beating Dallas, the Ravens, and the Bills. Right.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to beat at least two of those three teams to get it. So now I'm just thinking, you're in the playoffs. I hope Tyreek's ankle's okay. I hope the line gets healthy, and you go from there.
Well, the Ravens play the Jags, who are playing for something, the 49ers, who are good, the Dolphins, and the Steelers. So the Jags and the Steelers, you assume they'll win. That game against the Dolphins could be for the 1 seed, potentially. But
the Raven-Dolphin game?
Yeah, but as
it's going to be for the 1 seed, I think.
Well, the Dolphins would have to beat the Cowboys, and then they're going to have to beat a desperate Bills team who's trying to make the playoffs. And depending on how the Dolphins go, I think the Bills, they're still in play to win the AFC East somehow.
Well, that's why I like that Titans loss was so bad, because you need that game for space, and now you let the Bills get a free one back on you.
Yeah.
And you, like you said, I think you had made the point earlier, you kind of want to keep the Bills out of the playoffs because you don't want them coming back down the line.
Or later this episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Later this episode.
That's what I meant.
Not
Yeah,
earlier. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Good point by you, Billy.
Yeah.
Peter King's going to join us on the television side coming up here in just a minute, and so will Chris Sims. The Bills, incidentally, have the Cowboys, the Chargers, the Patriots, and the Dolphins left. They could still win that division. That's not a team you want to face in the playoffs. I'm going to make a bold prediction. The Bills are going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. How about that?
Wow.
How about that?
I feel like depending on how the Chargers manage this situation, maybe that Chargers game you'll have, some new energy there, some new let's prove something there.
Yeah, but you don't have Justin Herbert.
Well, yeah, that's true. Never mind. I take that back immediately.
Easton Stick or whatever his name is.
He looked good yesterday.
Well, in the second half.
Yeah.
Right, when the game was over.
It took some time to get his feet wet, you know?
Do it in the first half.
Well.
I mean, seriously, Billy.
You can't play defense also.
I know.
Supposed to be Staley's thing.
Well, that's the but not Easton Stick's thing.
I understand what you're saying about the defense. He doesn't play defense. He only controls the offense.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say the defense did play well and gave up no points.
Yeah, well, they didn't.
It still would have been a tied game at halftime.
Well, if the defense did well and gave up no points, they would have won 21-0.
Yeah. Yeah. Belichick has to go to LA, right? I mean, he has to. That would be the team you go to. Billy, if you're Bill Belichick, you're sitting there, you're making a decision. It's the Washington Commanders or the LA Chargers. Which team are you choosing?
Well, it might not be just between those two teams.
What other teams could it,
What other team has
where
stuff?
else? Yeah, has stuff.
Has stuff, yeah.
This is the rare job opening that actually has stuff.
Yeah,
I think,
which is why he's getting fired.
And it has the most important thing.
I think Buffalo might be an option.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
But I just said they're winning the Super Bowl.
I can ask Peter King about that later.
What if my prediction's right, though? They make it to the Super Bowl.
Well, if your prediction's right, then they will not.
Okay.
That won't be an option.
Yes. But you're thinking, so you disagree with my opinion.
I didn't disagree with your opinion. I said we don't know what jobs will be available yet.
All right, so if Buffalo is available.
No jobs are available.
Well, I'll tell you this. It's interesting because.
Well, that's not true. The Raiders' job is presently available, but Antonio Pierce is probably going to get that job.
It looks like he'll get the job. Going to Buffalo would be interesting because that's a job, as Fuentes just pointed out, has some stuff.
It's got stuff.
It's got stuff, and it applies maximum pain to Bob Kraft and the Patriots. Max pain.
I wonder.
How about the Jets?
Yeah, but you got to live in Buffalo.
Yeah, sure.
I wonder if there will be something in there where, he can't go to Buffalo.
Belichick will not agree to that. He will not. Why would he agree to that?
I don't know.
You're saying Bob Kraft would put a clause in and say, hey, you can go wherever you want, but no AFC East.
I mean, I don't know. If they fire him, what are they going to do about it? You know what I mean?
Very wishy-washy today.
I think there's lots of uncertainties.
You're not certain if you're nervous. You don't know where Belichick's going.
Easton Stick did not have a bad game yesterday.
Well, yeah, in the first half he did.
He didn't have a bad game.
I mean, I've seen worse games.
I mean,
I'm a Jets fan.
They probably played prevent the whole second half.
He did lose 2 fumbles, though, and an interception, so 3 turnovers.
He
and 3.
did.
Not that great.
Are you excited to speak to Peter King from NBC?
I am.
You like Peter King?
Yeah, you know.
I think Peter King likes you.
We'll see.
Well, he did last time he was on.
And we'll see.
All right. Let's find out together. Peter King next.
Joe Burrow needs to be a little bit concerned about this Jake Browning.
I think you're out of your effing mind.
What? Tell him, Peter.
What are you, crazy? I think you're crazy. I mean, Jake Browning is doing a great thing for Jake Browning and for the Bengals. They might make the playoffs. They're certainly good enough. I'll just say this. As somebody who lives in Brooklyn, I listened to FAN for 15 minutes today and then had to turn it off because both hosts were saying that Tommy DeVito should be the quarterback and they should just take the cap hit on Daniel Jones and walk away. Right. And I said, oh, my Christ. Anyway. Yeah.
Esiason said that? Really? Boomer?
No, that wasn't Boomer. It was I've lost track of who's on that show because I don't really listen much to talk radio anymore, but I just happened to be I was folding laundry today and I was listening to it and I said, man, whatever, 12 to 15 minutes, that's enough for me. So that was it for the day.
I find the doing of laundry, I'm sorry, Billy, to be very cathartic. Peter, do you?
I absolutely love it. And you know what else I love? I love doing the dishes.
Oh, now you're speaking my language.
I love doing the dishes.
Do you wear gloves? No gloves. I go no gloves.
gloves. Come on.
Yeah. Warm water.
Be a man.
Mm-hmm. Do some warm water. Have the warm water go down your hands. Oh,
you're in Billy's wheelhouse, Peter. Yeah. You know that, right?
You have one of those padded mats in front of the sink to make sure that your back and your knees don't start bothering you too much.
Hey, listen, it's like you're in our kitchen. You were in our kitchen in Brooklyn right now, baby.
What do you love about doing the dishes, Peter? Just out of curiosity, like what makes that relaxing for you? Laundry, I understand. The dishes.
It's a task. Right. Remember, there was an admiral, U.S. Navy Admiral McRaven, who gave the commencement address at the University of Texas about 10 years ago. And he said, every day for the rest of your life, I want you to do one thing when you wake up. And everybody's thinking, what is it? Make your bed.
Yeah.
And you know why he said that? It's a task. And you're finished with it, and then you move on to the next task. So we have breakfast. I have oatmeal. And at the end of having breakfast and my 20-ounce Italian roast coffee, I and reading the paper in the hands, I essentially go to the kitchen sink and I finish my first task of the day, 12 minutes. Well, second, because my wife and I make our bed in the morning. But, yeah, that's what I do. I like it. I think, I don't want to say it's cathartic. I like getting something done and looking at the kitchen and it's spick and span at 7:35 in the morning. I think it's great.
I love losing track of time while I'm washing dishes. Sometimes I'll just be there 20, 25 minutes. I have no idea what's gone on. But while I'm doing it, I can't check my phone. I can't really watch TV or anything. It's just me and the dishes.
Yeah. It's a good time.
It's a good
Hey, so what are we going to talk about? Dishes?
I don't want to talk about football. I want to talk about chores. I regret Billy asking you the Jake Browning question.
Yeah.
Peter, do you remember a time, since you brought up Jake Browning, it is interesting. Do you remember a time in NFL history where the backup quarterback has been this important?
I'm sure there must have been several years where you had a lot of injuries to starting quarterbacks. I'm not one of those people who said, oh yeah, back in 89, 3/4 of the starters were hurt. I just don't remember things that way.
Right.
But I mean, it isn't just starting quarterbacks. One of the reasons why I think if I were the Bears, unless Justin Fields absolutely steps in it the next 4 weeks, if I were Ryan Poles, very simply, I'd put the number 1 pick in the draft on the market. I'd get 3 ones for it, and I'd build a team around him. Because if you watched Caleb Williams against Notre Dame this year,
Yep.
you'll see how good Caleb Williams is when he has a pass rush that overwhelms him. And what do you think happened to Bryce Young this year? His line stinks. And so Bryce Young gets killed the whole year, and everybody says, see, made the wrong choice at quarterback. They should have taken C.J. Stroud. Maybe they should have. How on God's green earth can you tell with the pressure that Bryce Young has been under? So that's why, if I were the Bears, I would continue to build with quality players around my quarterback. And I would say to whoever, maybe Seattle, who knows? Maybe somebody's in love with Caleb Williams or Drake May. Atlanta, maybe they're in love with one of them. Who knows? Maybe one of them wants to pay 3 ones or 2 ones and 2 twos. I don't know. But, you know, the market right now is crazy for franchise quarterbacks. And I'll tell you one of the other reasons why overall I understand why people want to get the golden arm, but why I wouldn't necessarily be nuts over that. Let's say, for the sake of argument, and you would have to say right now, if you had to pick one team that was going to win the Super Bowl this year, one team, my pick would be San Francisco. And you might disagree. You might say Dallas. You might say whoever. I don't know. Whoever else. Baltimore. I don't know. But San Francisco clearly would be in the discussion. So if San Francisco wins the Super Bowl this year, here's what that means. It means that 6 of the last 11 Super Bowl winners would have been either the 75th quarterback picked in the draft, Russell Wilson, the 199th quarterback picked in the draft, Tom Brady, or 262nd pick in the draft, Brock Purdy. So tell me, why do you absolutely have to pick a quarterback in the top 2, 3, 4 to have a chance to win? Now, if there's a great one, if you see somebody you have to have and who everybody says, oh my God, this guy is no doubt, then okay, I get it. But you tell me, how are the Chicago Bears better if they swap out Justin Fields for Caleb Williams? And I mean, they might be. I don't know. But I would much rather have 3 or 4 really vaunted, highly regarded players in the next couple of years than swap out quarterbacks.
He's the host of the Peter King podcast and authors the weekly Football Morning in America column every Monday exclusively on NBC Sports. Peter, we've heard throughout the year that things are not hints that maybe this is Bill Belichick's last season in New England. Maybe he's going to continue on. There was rumors he could be in Washington. Then you see maybe there's a situation with the Chargers. This week, we heard kind of a wrinkle where there's a report that was already decided after the game in Germany that this would be his last season, and it's already been discussed. Is that something that we should take seriously? Have you heard anything like that?
I haven't, but I don't cover the league the way I used to. Parcells used to call it, put your sniffer on the ground about this. I trust Tom Curran. I think he's really, really good at his job. He's the one who reported that. I don't doubt it. I don't know that it's true, but I don't doubt it. I guess I would say a couple of things. Number one, Robert Kraft is not one of these guys, even if he thought Bill Belichick was the greatest guy he ever met in his life. Robert Kraft is a results-oriented person. As of this moment, the New England Patriots are 7 games under 500 since Tom Brady walked off campus. That isn't good enough. And it certainly isn't good enough for Robert Kraft, and I'm sure that Bill Belichick doesn't think it's good enough. So what's going to change about that? Really, what is going to change? Bill Belichick has drafted the players in New England for the last 24 straight drafts. And if you look at the overall talent on his team right now, he's got a pretty good defense. That defense could beat Kansas City this week. I mean it. But his offense stinks. His skill players stink. His quarterbacks maybe don't stink, but they're not good. And they're not winning quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And those guys were put on the team by Bill Belichick. He has had plenty of opportunity and plenty of cap money to rebuild this team, both late in Brady's term and since Tom Brady walked away after the 2019 season. He hasn't done it. And I think Robert Kraft, I believe that he probably wants to go younger. He wants some new ideas. And he probably, and I don't know this, but he probably wants a more traditional structure. I think Robert Kraft is tired of having a potentate. That's what I think. But we'll see what he does. My gut feeling all along since midseason has been that if Bill Belichick wants to break Don Shula's record, and I really think that he does, he's going to have to do it in pick a town, Washington, the Chargers, who knows? I don't know who all will be open. However,
what town would you pick, Peter? What town would you pick?
If I were him, I'd pick the Chargers.
You would?
Because, you got a quarterback.
Yep.
Are you telling me Belichick 16 wins away from Shula right now?
Right.
Let's say he gets one more. Let's say he gets one more this year. If he goes to the Chargers, okay, and, if they make a change, assuming that they do, and I think most people assume that they'll move on from Brandon Staley, but Dean Spanos is a rare bird, and he keeps his own counsel. So I guess what I'm saying is that if you look at what the Chargers have that Bill Belichick would want, he has to think mentally. This is a guy who's going to be 72 years old next opening day. He's got to think mentally, look, I don't know how much longer I have. There's a lot of people who think they can work until they're 90. And Belichick appears still to be very young and very lively and all that. But the fact is, who knows how much longer he can coach at a decent level. But if you leave New England, you need 15 wins. You've got to think that he can do enough with some good pieces on defense and with Justin Herbert to win 15 games in 2 years.
Win a Super Bowl there, yeah.
Is it crazy to think that Buffalo might be in play depending on how that season plays out?
If you ask me my gut feeling right now, they could dive bomb and finish 1-3 down the stretch and out of the playoffs. And look, it's crazy right now that, how crazy is this? The Buffalo Bills, as we talk right now, are the 11th seed in the AFC, and they're 7-6.
Right.
And the Pittsburgh Steelers are the 6th seed in the playoffs. They are 7-6. The Steelers stink. And the Bills look like they can beat any team in football. Now, it's not a given by any stretch, but there's absolutely no way that the Bills are the 11th best team in the AFC. And so I think they're going to play well down the stretch. My gut feeling, this is going to be so fascinating because it might happen, it might not happen. But just imagine this. Imagine if the Bills go into week 18 needing to win the game. And how about if the Miami Dolphins don't have anything to play for, relatively speaking, or very little to play for, let's say, and Tyreek Hill's got an ouchie ankle and all this stuff. So imagine that that's the scenario. WWMMD. What will Mike McDaniel do? Because I'm totally fascinated by that. And you know who else is fascinated by that? My employers, NBC.
Yeah.
Because they want to put in the NFL, because the NFL is the entity that dictates who that game 272 is, the last game of the year. So I'm really interested to see what'll happen there with that game.
Let's ask Billy. He's a Dolphin fan. Billy, what would you want Mike McDaniel to do?
I feel like saying the Dolphins. One, it's a great scenario if the Dolphins have nothing to play for. But you also are playing to keep the Bills out of the playoffs so that they can't eliminate.
That's what he's
later
saying.
on.
Right.
Yeah. That's the
Don't
point.
want them getting in because they do look like they can beat anyone right now.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that they beat you by 1,000 points 2 months ago. I mean, the Bills. The Bills are a fascinating team. But you ask about Sean McDermott. There's one other factor. You got Brandon Beane, the general manager. You got Terry Pagula, the owner. And they're sitting there nodding their heads. And you saw the locker room video the other day in Kansas City where Brandon Beane basically says, hey, this guy got a bunch of S this week, and we're behind him. We got your back, coach, giving him the big hug. It almost feels like unless they go 0-4 down the stretch and are awful, it almost feels like the front office of this team and the ownership of this team are going to say, you're not telling us who to fire. It's almost like what Harvard just did with that president. Harvard is saying, look, we may not love this president, but I'll be damned if the outside world is going to fire the president of Harvard University. So, and that kind of reminds me of, I believe, what the Bills might be thinking right now.
The great Peter King is with us. The Dolphins, are you surprised? Two questions of the Dolphins. Are you surprised that Mike McDaniel is this good of a head coach? And do you think the Dolphins have a legitimate chance, Peter, of making it to the Super Bowl and winning it?
Well, yeah, I'd feel a lot better if they would beat a good team. Obviously, I think everybody would. But when they're on their game, they're really, really good. And I had the occasion in Germany a month or so ago, 6 weeks ago now, to ride in a car with Mike McDaniel from where the Dolphins were practicing back to their hotel. We were in the car maybe 25 minutes. And we talked a lot about sort of offensive football. And I keep waiting to write this story. So you're going to get a little preview here.
Nice.
I'm going to write it at some point in my column in the next 3-4 weeks. I don't know. But what was so interesting about that conversation is that I understood, here's why players really like to play for this guy. And you see a little bit now on Hard Knocks if you're watching that. But one of the things we talked about in the car is that they had this play that over and over again wasn't working, like in practice when they would do it. And so they hadn't run it in a game. And it still was, they just weren't running it well. Things weren't going well. It just didn't feel right. But McDaniel's point was Tua, Alec Ingold, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek, Durham Smythe, everybody on the Raheem Mostert, everybody basically had the attitude, hey, coach, if you think this is going to work, we're going to make it work, so don't worry. And that, to me, says a lot, okay? And what it says most of all is that these guys believe in their coach. He's an oddball. We all see it. He's just a different dude. But he also, this is a guy who doesn't feel like, this is not because he thinks he's smarter than anybody else at all. But this is a guy who trusts his mind so much. He trusts his mind so much that he doesn't feel a need every week to spend 3 hours watching what other teams are doing. Because what he's doing is good enough. He doesn't have to look for ideas elsewhere because these ideas that come out of that little head of his work wonders. And so that's why, to me, if I think the players on that team really just trust him. And I think when you have that, you have a good chance to win.
He's the host of the Peter King podcast and authors of the weekly Football Morning in America column every Monday exclusively on NBCSports.com. Peter, thank you so much for taking the time with us today.
That's good. This is the first podcast in Peter King history where I had no idea we started the podcast.
Oh,
we just started talking, and it was kind of groovy. I like it. I have no idea what the beginning of this podcast is. So you're going to have at least one listener who listens to it to find out where the hell is the start of this thing. So anyway,
something about the changing world. I don't know. I forget how we got there.
Making
we morphed into laundry. I mean,
folding clothes. Yeah.
Listen, you know what you have to do? You know what has to be on this pod?
What?
Dishes.
Yeah.
And making your bed. Come on. That stuff has got to, and folding laundry. That stuff has got to be on this pod.
I am going to ask you if we could do this before the season's up. I want you and Billy both doing dishes together on the Zoom, okay? And we talk some football. Can we do that one time?
Listen, I not only promise you I'll do it, you set a date, I will be there.
Oh, my God.
Perfect.
Love it. Next Thursday? I mean,
because I'm going to the West Coast for Christmas to my daughter's house in Berkeley, California. So, but let's do it one day in January. I'd be happy to do it.
Perfect. Oh, that'd be playoff time, Peter. Playoff dishes. I can't wait.
The playoff dishes.
Peter, we do appreciate it. You are the best. I could do this every week with you if you like, but we will do it after the new year. Happy holidays to you and your family. Enjoy that time with your daughter, sir.
Thanks a lot, guys. You take care.
Look who's showing up to work. Billy Gill is back. How about that, huh?
Billy Gill is back. Gosh, I mean, I just, I don't, what else is he doing in life that he couldn't be here for our 30 minutes last week? I mean, he does your stuff. Good. God bless football is part of this. Like, where were you last week? I mean, it's a little disrespectful lately.
To who? To you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm here. Why aren't you here?
I'm here today. We're here. We're talking. Here's the thing, Chris. We've gotten off on the wrong foot. I like your sweatshirt, though. Hey, thank you. I'm actually covering up a costume that I had to wear, so that's why I'm wearing this sweatshirt today. Anyway, I feel like we've gotten off on the wrong foot, and I don't think that you're going to necessarily like this because you and I are aligned in some thinking this week that I saw, and I was almost made fun of on Monday when we were breaking down what happened on Sunday, and the Chiefs in particular. And we were talking about the Chiefs' offense. And I was saying, and we've been saying it for a couple weeks now, and we're not the first ones to say it, that you can tell the difference in Eric Bieniemy not being there, right? And then I was made fun of, and I was told, what, is he going to prevent all the drops? And I said, you know what? They look very undisciplined, and had Eric Bieniemy been there, they would not look so undisciplined. And then you know what I saw? Chris Sims had the exact same opinion.
Well, I do. And a little bit is rooted in some knowledge of the people, the guys there in Kansas City right now, and things I know too. First off, the offense right now has no identity in Kansas City. It's just like, hey, them in Buffalo, we don't know what we are on offense, but our fucking quarterbacks are awesome, so we'll try to make it happen somehow, some way. But what are they? They're a running team more than years past, but I still don't think they're a great running team. And there they are last week. They decide not to run it really and throw the ball all the time. It's like they're still a work in progress. So I don't think Matt Nagy's offense is creative as Eric Bieniemy's is or was. And, to what you're saying here, Billy, the big thing is, and I know this from people there, Bieniemy was the enforcer. He was the guy that was like, stop dropping the fucking ball, get in front of the jugs, catch more balls, stop making excuses. Stop lining up off sides, right? He was the guy that was, said the unpopular thing, but the thing that needed to be said. And, I think between all those things we just talked about, it's leading to, a less than, Mahomes-like look on the offensive side of the ball.
Staying with the Chiefs for a second here, Chris, what'd you make of the call at the end of last week's game against Buffalo? What'd you make of their reaction after the bad call?
Well, I mean, one, it had to be called. We've all seen the plays where, he lined up very close or offsides in the neutral zone before that play, right? where I would like to see something out there, and I know ESPN did it to kind of show his other plays, but then they didn't show the final play in which he was offsides, and it was egregious. I mean, you can't be a half yard off football offsides.
Right.
The ball was on the 49 and a half. He's on like the 48 and 3/4 yard line. I mean, so what? I mean, what are we doing there?
And I should correct myself. I never thought it was a bad call. It was the right call because he was offside. So I'm correcting myself.
I got you. I got what you mean there. But yeah, I think that when it gets to the egregious point there, that has to be called. And I mean, Kansas City knows it now. I said it Sunday night. I didn't like the reaction. It was a little bit emotional and not thought out and not realistic. But I think it goes into they were screwed over by the week before against the Packers, right? And then they got 2 other games where you go, if they catch the ball against the Eagles or the Lions, they probably win that. So, they got a few more, losses on their record than they probably should between the refs and their own mistakes that they've made here down the stretch.
I just want to play devil's advocate for a moment, Chris. Do you understand, in a sense, their reaction? Because you guys even pointed out at halftime on Sunday night that this seems to be a point of emphasis this season. This was only called twice last year, where at the time it was 11 times it had been called this year, and then actually on Sunday night ended up getting called. It was
called on that game.
Yeah, later in the game. So this seems to be a point of emphasis this year. So if you're them, can you maybe understand how they're like, hey, cut us a little bit of slack, give us a warning, whatever, because this isn't the way it's been done before, even though this year they've kind of been enforcing it a lot more?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess at the very least they could have got a warning, right? They got cut slack. I mean, Kadarius Toney lined up offsides 5 other times during the football game, and they let it go. So they got a little slack, right? This one was just like, wait, now we're going to start giving guys a yard head start here a little bit. So I think that's it. And then, yes, I think it's a little of like, wait, what the hell? That's never been called since I was a quarterback in the NFL and all of that. But Mahomes, the one thing we know, he watches everything. And it's been talked about on other Sunday night football games and Monday night football games because of the tush push. That's why it's being called more like this. That's the complaint around the league from defensive coaches and head coaches, that when it gets to these quarterback sneak situations or stuff, they were letting the offensive line get more of an advantage than they should with crossing into the neutral zone. And then there's the defense who had to stay on their side of the ball. So, they know the snap count. Now they're also getting a edge in where they line up, and it's going to be hard to stop any quarterback sneak. So that's why it was a point of emphasis. But they knew that it already was a point of emphasis this year. And, at the end of the day, Kadarius Toney can't just run out of the huddle and point to the receiver when he's not even, the referee, when he's not even lined up to say, I'm on the line of scrimmage. You got to look back again and go, wait, am I good? Am I legal? And all that. And he never does that in the process.
Sims, I want to go back to what you said about Eric Bieniemy before, where you said he's the guy that says the unpopular thing but needs to be said. Do you think that's the reason why he doesn't get a head coaching job, is because he's just not very well liked? He has no other side to him?
Well, yeah, it is. It is part of the reason. And it's something I discussed last year a lot on my pod and PFT and all that. He's not a politician, right? And sometimes those type of guys have a hard time getting their first head coaching job. That's why I even think like my buddy Kyle Shanahan probably should have been hired as a head coach earlier, but because he didn't really try to make any effort with media or reaching out to anybody or playing politics to get this guy to put in the good word with him or anything like that, he wasn't on some owner's radars. And then he got perceived a little bit as like, oh, he's a young jerk who knows it all, right? And it's like, no, he just coaches his football team really hard. And if you mess up, he says, hey, F you messed up, right? And that's where I think it is with Bieniemy. Bieniemy, from what I've been told, yeah, it's the hard, cold truth all the time, right? If you go back and look at him on the sidelines in some Chiefs game, you'll see him mother effing some guys for sure. And then, from what I've heard too, in some of the, meetings or ability, what do you want to say? The interviews to maybe become a head coach, he doesn't sugarcoat things. Oh, no, this position sucks. You guys got to change this. No, the quarterback sucks. We got to get somebody else new. And, like the GM and the owner are like, whoa, that's, That's crazy talk, right? So I think a little bit of that. And I think, to add to that, Mikey Ye, because I think the world of this guy as a coach too, I know that was a little bit of a thing in Washington this year. They were a little taken aback by, whoa, he is rough and critical. Remember, they complained a little bit early in the preseason. Yeah. Ron Rivera said something. I've heard that the Washington Commanders, they were a little reluctant to let the media come out early in practice because you go out there and all you hear is Bieniemy mother guys. So, I think a little of all of that, Mikey Ye, is why he is overdue to become a head coach in the NFL.
PFT with Mike Florio every day on Peacock, the Unbuttoned podcast, Football Night in America, Ravens and Jaguars coming up this Sunday. Good game. Saturday football this weekend. Sibs, you love Saturday football, don't you?
What? Sit on the couch. Don't have to worry about anything. Build a fire. Maybe have some Christmas music on between, the games. And then, smoky, drinky. What? That day is a great day. I can't wait for Saturday.
It's a hell of a day. Smoky, drinky. Tyreek Hill, we'll get to Zach Wilson. Sims might have the last laugh on this one.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll get to Tommy DeVito as well. I told you wanted that guy to be your quarterback. I told you, Chris Sims, 3 weeks ago you want that guy to be your quarterback. We'll get to that in a second as well. Tyreek Hill missed a couple of quarters, and I think in his absence, he solidified the MVP. Do you agree?
Wait. Say that again. Who?
Tyreek Hill missed 2 quarters against the Titans, and I think in his absence, he solidified the MVP. He's shrugging his shoulders.
I kind of put a tweet out at the end of the game just for laughs and for that Tyreek for MVP. I mean, that other than him maybe catching 250 yards worth of receiving, yards the other night, him not playing and then seeing their offense and the quarterback completely stall out. Then he comes back in and they drive right down the field and then he goes back out and they can't move the ball again. I mean, Billy, just, tell me I'm right when I'm right. Am I right? I think I'm right. I don't know.
He's not going to give it to you.
I know. I can see that.
He's just going to sit there and smile.
But I mean, he's special. And yeah, again, we have work to be done. Dak Prescott's coming up up the rankings in a big way. If they finish out what their schedule is and he continues to play this way, he probably will get it. But I'm sick of this, as you know, conversation of just a quarterback all the time.
Sure.
And I'm going to continue to try to break down the barrier here, at least open up the eyes to everybody so we can have a healthy conversation here. The driving force of the Dolphins offense is Tyreek Hill. The driving force of the 49ers offense is Christian McCaffrey. Mm-hmm. And that's where it makes it interesting this year in this, MVP conversation.
Chris, that was a bad loss for the Dolphins. They were up, 14, 3 minutes to go. Should have won that game. They ended up losing the game. Are you concerned about them at all? Because my concerns are it's if it's not perfect for Tua, meaning 2-step drop, get rid of the ball. If he has to scramble, it doesn't work, Chris.
No, that's what I think what, you're saying, and I'll try to clean it up for you basically in a good way to say it, right, is when the game gets ugly, that's not good. When the game gets ugly and grimy and, it's getting physical and there's not a lot of plays in space, that's when you worry about the Dolphins, right? That's kind of what we've seen them struggle with this year. And, yeah, that again, a creative game plan. They did some cool things on defense to take Miami out of what they wanted to do. And they were willing to go, hey, run the ball. Where you got numbers in the box. But within that, they go, our front four, even though you got us outnumbered in the running game, we feel like we're kind of physical and you guys aren't that physical and you want the game to be space oriented and all that. And Vrabel basically called their bluff and just said, yeah, I'm going to play some crazy coverages where I actually am going to avoid some areas and leave some people wide open. And I'm going to force you to run the ball. And, of course, it paid off in a big way.
You might have been right about Zach Wilson, huh?
Well, I'm not going to go that far.
What?
It's one game. It's one game, but he looked good. Again, I think you guys see the physical ability he has there, right? But was it the Texans on a bad day? Was it his head coach giving them some clues on the offensive side of the ball, how DeMeco Ryans' defense works? Because, of course, Robert Saleh taught DeMeco Ryans a lot of what he knows. So I'd like to see more. You see the talent for sure. He looked very comfortable. They made some big time throws. It was good to see. Good to see everybody, off his back for a week at least.
Chris, here was the big difference for me. I know the arm talent is there. I know the arm strength is there, but he felt the pressure. He felt it early. He got away from the pressure. He was
got
poised.
The ball out in the right spots. Yeah,
yes, he was making quick decisions, Chris.
Yes, quick decisions, and then catchable balls on some of those underneath throws and things where you've seen him sometimes go, he's 4 yards from you. You don't have to throw it that hard, or are you really that off target with the 5-yard throw? So, yeah, very consistent that way. And, of course, made some big-time plays and throws. We've seen some inklings this year, right? I mean, I think the Chiefs game, this game, those would be 2 games you'd look at to go, damn, there was definitely a few drives and some special moments for Zach Wilson.
He didn't wait for the plays to develop like forever and just sit back there and pat the ball and take a sack. He was quick to go, oh, Breece Hall is a guy when if I give it to him right there, can probably make a few people miss and I get 8 yards.
Right. Instead of like patting the ball 2 more times, like maybe Garrett Wilson will come open here in a second, right? Agreed. So
it was the hard knock, Chris. That's what it was. If you go back to hard knocks, Aaron said you have 2 seconds. Otherwise, get the hell out of here or get rid of the ball.
Yeah, hopefully that continues this week. We'll see. But he had a good feel for it, and they looked at a good game plan. I didn't watch that game on film yet. I will as the week rolls on here because I would like to see what they did to get after that Texans defense.
Chris, it's funny. Sorry, Mikey.
I just said hopefully, Billy. Hopefully Zach Wilson could do it again, right, Billy?
Hopefully, right. Hopefully
against the Dolphins. Yes, that would be great. Billy would be.
Billy didn't hear you. He's typing something, and he wasn't even really listening.
Kind of in and out. He's here, but he's not here. I liked it better when he was on vacation.
How dare all of you?
Distracting me. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Where did you grow up, Billy? Did you grow up in Miami?
I did, yes.
All right.
Why?
I just wanted to know. I wanted to know the root of your Miami fandom. I just wasn't quite sure.
Where would you like me to have grown up? I could say that's where I grew up if you'd like. I could change.
No. I like that you grew up in Miami and that you're a diehard. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of them down there at times. So I love that.
Okay.
Where
Right.
did you want me to grow?
You're a little too pale to be from Miami, but that's fine. I mean, for a guy that lives in Miami, do you ever go outside and get a tan?
No, I'm in studios all day long. The most sun that I get are these
except
studio
when I
lights.
do the show, you're not here.
Well,
so you must be out doing something.
Personal reasons,
LeBatard keeps
even when he's
inside,
not here, even when he's not here, he's in car garages drinking.
Well,
yeah, right, exactly. Right.
Correct. You're right, Mikey. Yes. He's an alcoholic, Sim.
Or he's at a Miguel Cabrera function inside somewhere.
That was an outdoor event, I'll have you know, but it was Detroit, so I was wishing it was indoors.
Yeah.
Sims, you're a happy Yankee fan this week, no?
Yeah, that was big, right? I mean, yeah we got the pitcher from Boston, and then we get Juan Soto. That was pretty good. I'll take it.
Let's just call him the pitcher from Boston.
Yeah.
Verdugo? I know.
Verdugo or something like that.
Yeah, I'm too much in football mode. I can't remember all the baseball players' names right now.
And we're back.
Jesus Christ.
Love it.
Why do you love it?
Because it's like old-timey TV.
Yeah,
Reminded me of when I was a young man.
No, I know it's professional, but I'm asking him to bring us in, and then he's just like, "And we're back," and leaves it to me, and I don't.
No, I didn't leave it to you. I'm letting the audience.
There's a pause
You
there,
kind of
right?
leave it to him.
No, I pause, and then
because like you pause, and then what are you gonna do? Start talking again?
I just know my teammates. I know he's gonna react to it, so I pause for the reaction, and then
Okay.
we keep things going.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got. We'll keep it going.
Alex Verdugo is not a pitcher, and he also now doesn't have facial hair because he had to shave it for the Yankees, and he looks like a baby.
I got to tell you that your eyes lit up, Mikey A's. Both of you guys started cracking up. And the second you realized that Mr. Yankee fan, Chris Sims, had no idea who Verdugo was or what position he played.
I legitimately was confused and thought that I was like, did I miss
Thought
something?
you were going crazy?
Yeah, no, I thought I was. I was like, he's not a pitcher. And then I was like, is he a pitcher? Am has my life been a lie? Not that my life is based on what position Alex Verdugo plays, but
That's a weird thing to base
has
it
my
on.
whole life been a lie?
Yeah, well, mine has. Yes. Anyway, Chris Sims. Fuentes, I'd be interested in your opinion on this. I think the best thing about God Bless Football is the dynamic, the relationship between Billy Gill and Chris Sims.
So I don't know Chris Sims at all. he thinks my name is Montez.
Yeah.
So when I'm listening to like him and Billy banter, you could just tell it's like kind of like a little brother, big brother thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who am I?
You're the little brother.
You thought you were Big Brother?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He pulled his middle finger out of his pants and gave it to
Yeah,
you.
it's a classic move.
Exactly. That's like a
It's a classic. Early Christmas gift.
Yeah. You love that guy, though. I know you do.
I do. I do.
You're admitting it.
he loves you too. He said that if you were working with him, you'd be his right hand guy.
Yeah.
He said that.
He didn't send me a job offer, so how much did he mean that?
Oh, God, I love that relationship. Billy, do we have a fantasy game from our friends at DraftKings here?
We do.
That was well said by me. Sorry about that. Do we have a fantasy game, a daily fantasy game with our friends at DraftKings this week?
We do. Go to dkng.co/LeBatard. I'm going like this, like if there's a graphic, even though there's not actually a graphic. And then you can compete against us in fantasy. And now I've given them a headache because now maybe they do it to show off, or maybe they just leave me looking like a dum-dum. Montez is so mad at me right now.
Yeah, Montez is furious. Peter King, huh?
Dishes, huh?
Yeah.
How are we going to arrange that?
I don't know, but
You're
you're
supposed to set up a camera or a laptop in front of my sink?
yeah.
Because you want it to be, I mean, you would want the faucet in there too, right? So I have to almost like have a bad camera angle. But then I'm also messing with electronics and water. So am I gonna get electrocuted?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm more worried about Peter King pulling it off than you pulling it off.
Thank you.
He's an older man, technology.
I appreciate that. How old do you think Peter King is?
60.
Got to be up there somewhere.
He-
Very spry though for a guy.
He is, yes.
Oh, no.
He's got life figured out, man.
He does.
He's 66. I appreciate the fact that he thinks that I'm more technologically savvy than a 66-year-old man. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that'll do it.
That's a wrap.
Another great toss from Billy. That'll do it.
Well, that was a toss to Stugotz.
I
And then
know,
you say, thanks for... See you next week, everybody.
God bless football.